Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we kind of want to do something a little fun. We're going to go ahead and cut a little bit of coral, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys a little something that you kind of learn over the years, which is how to promote growth in SPS. So over the years, you kind of notice specific patterns kind of come up once you start raising coral, and a lot of it is pretty interesting. One of the things that you kind of learn over time is the growth rate of SPS is different between different species. Sometimes you have something, for example, this guy right here, which can grow like an inch a month, versus something, for example, this guy right here, which I've had for maybe 3-ish or 4-ish months, basically whenever I got that package of SPS from California. But as you can see, obviously this guy has not grown pretty much at all. It's encrusted a good amount, but it hasn't actually grown out of its little willy looking stick here. Now after a while, once you start fragging corals and everything starts growing out, you begin to realize a few things. And one of them is that if you cut coral, specifically we're talking about today SPS, you can actually promote growth. So one example you can kind of see here, it's a little hard to see, but you can see how all these tips on this blue stag, or I think it's a stag, but this blue SPS right here in the center, every tip that we had cut off has actually grown 3 or 4 tips from where I cut it off. So for example, if I was to cut, say, this singular branch right here, it would actually do something like this, where this singular branch would split 1, 2, 3, 4, and start growing more tips. Same thing with this green slimer right here. I had cut a chunk off right here, and it split 2 new heads. And then a little later, I had cut the tips off, and each of these tips are growing 2 more heads as well. We even have it in other species like this millipora right here. Every head that I cut off, like one right here, has turned to, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 heads has sprouted from the single. And you can kind of see examples here where it's done exactly the same thing. So you'll also see some videos where people take like a razor blade and they kind of just carefully nick the tip of the coral to cause a little damage. I guess that might work. I've personally never tried that route, but it could possibly work. But today what we are going to do is we're going to go a little bit more hardcore. So for example, this guy I've had right here, like I said, I've had him for a few months. You can see he's encrusted a good amount, but he hasn't done anything besides that. And the tip is just like a little, little baby little willy, and it hasn't grown any larger, which is real sad. So instead of just doing like a little nick, which I mean, I guess I could do, we're going to go ahead and just chomp off the entire thing. Not the entire thing, but a good amount. We're just going to cut off the tip right here. And that's going to really piss off the coral, obviously. And I got not the greatest cut, but not bad. But yeah, we've basically cut off that little coral. I'll go ahead and take this extra little bit and put it on a plug. So I'll actually have 2 pieces, which is perfect. But I found that about 80% of the coral that I do this to, the single head right here, or a single stalk, will split off new stalks. And that'll progressively, make it grow more. And having this little extra piece right here, I can mount it somewhere else, either on a frag plug or a different rock. And we'll have a brand new coral at some point as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that to a few other colonies. We're also going to cut up these 3 major colonies a little bit, just to kind of trim them up. As you can see, they're kind of growing into each other, which is going to be a bad thing at some point. So we're going to go ahead and take our little cutters there, frag off a bunch of pieces so they don't touch anymore, or won't touch at all if I cut it. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get a bunch of cuts and get everything fragged up. right, so we went ahead and cut a few SPS. We get to cut this guy right here, which is a orange creamsicle. So there's this bluish red coral. It kind of looks white, but doesn't really look like that way in real person. I think it's a cherry bomb. I'm not really sure. I didn't actually, look at it. I didn't cut it all that well. Let's get all the filth off. But we did go ahead and cut that guy as well. We have this little unknown coral right here, which we cut, and then we did trim a little bit off of my larger colonies, just because they're starting to touch a little bit. And I wanted to make a little space for this guy right here, which you can see the colors are really coming out. I think it's called a rainbow loom, but I'm not exactly sure. I've actually had this for quite a while, but it's never grown until I got it into this tank. So since it's really starting to take off now, I kind of want to make it more of a priority. So I cut everything else around it just so we can give it a little bit more space to grow out. But hopefully, for the hopefully in the next few months, I'll get better growth out of the, little bits that I had cut. Well, I'll give you an update then to see how they do, whether they just grow a single stalk again, or whether they do split off, like my other colonies of SPS that I've had over the years. And what we'll go ahead and do is get these guys onto some plugs, or I'll just glue a few of the ones I don't have cuts of. I'll glue them back down to a rock so we can start like a secondary colony just in case. But yeah, we'll see in a few months how these little guys do, and hopefully it promotes them to grow into, fuller colonies like the other guys that I have. Now, while we're looking at the tank, since I'm trying to not put my hand in the tank nearly as much recently, one of the more popular questions I always have is what happened to those OG bounces? Let's see if I can kind of get out of the light here. Maybe if I go to this side, there we go, that's a little better. Yeah, like I said, a lot of people ask kind of what happened to the OG bounces. They are still perfect. They get a little bit bigger than this. Obviously, we just kind of freak them out by pulling them out of the sand bed. But the cuts are doing good. They're nice and bubbly. They haven't grown much bigger, but that's okay. They're definitely still alive. I did have a little issue when we had those dinos where it really slowed down the growth of everything. So I think I lost like a month or two of growth there. But yeah, they're starting to perk up a bit. They're doing well. The one on the right did come off the plug, but that's okay. It's still, holding on. But yeah, we're just going to leave these guys in the tank, let them grow out a bit more, and we'll deal with them later on. But yeah, like I said, they're doing pretty darn good. They're just kind of chilling in this little mushroom cage I got here. That way I can actually keep track of them and they don't float off into a corner and die. But other than that, the tank is doing actually pretty perfect. We're going to go ahead and move some stuff around right now. I do want to get some of my lower end stuff out of the tank. For example, this little hammer and that little hammer. I want to put them on plugs so I can hopefully sell them at some point. I've noticed over the last few months, though the tank looks good, I have a lot of green, which I want to get rid of. I really want to get more of those reds, yellows, purples, pinks if possible, just to brighten up the tank. So some of the more normal green stuff I do kind of want to get rid of. Maybe some of this gold as well. We are going to go ahead and move this little bubble coral I've had for the longest time. I just kept him behind that rock the entire time, so he's gotten nice and big. But he's kind of shadowed, so you can't see him. But he's one of my favorite corals, so I want to move him away from that new rockscape area and move him somewhere to the front so I can actually see him. So we will go ahead and do that. And then a couple days ago, this little echidna coral that I kind of couldn't find a place to put it, we're going to go ahead and grab that because he kind of fell down there. And we're going to cut that guy up too. Because he's so long, he doesn't fit in a real good place. So we're going to cut him up, make him a little smaller. That way I'll have frags, and also I'll be able to find him a better place in this rockwork to put him where it doesn't look out of place, which has been the biggest problem. Alrighty, so it's been a couple of days, and as you can see down here, I did go ahead and glue a lot of the corals to the frag plugs, and they'll just be chilling there for the next few days just to, you know, start to uncrust, heal up really good, and, you know, maybe in like a month or two, we'll see if we can get them out to people, maybe use those funds to buy some new coral. And right now, I just have the lighting put on full blue just because, you know, every once in a while, you just kind of want to look at the tank. You just kind of want to look at the tank. You know, see how everything's doing. Like I have my little shop of horrors right there, which is started at 2 polyps and now it's at 5. We have these little Jolly Rancher anemones. I got 3 of them. 2 big guys. I just moved them to this new anemone crate, acclimation box, whatever you want to call it. This was the original one, which is like a fish trap, so there's like a big hole in it. But this one's a bit more proper, so yeah, it looks better. Has multiple compartments. Definitely worth kind of the little $30 there that it costs to purchase it. But we'll go ahead and let these guys chill for right now. The color hasn't faded on them, which is awesome. Sometimes when you cut these guys, they kind of, you know, brown out a little bit, but so far so good, and we'll go ahead and let them take a rest. Now, before we do get going for the night, I did actually stop by the local fish store and purchase a couple things, because I do need, you know, a little bit of like trace elements, more kalkwasser, things like that. But I did go ahead and pick up a few things. Number one is this guy right here. As you can see, he is actually black. I know this probably isn't the greatest photo, but it's kind of the best I can do. But that is a black coral. How cool is that? It's some kind of a leather, so it kind of has that mushroomy shape. The closest thing that I could figure out that it was is a black Christmas tree coral. What I did not know is that those are non-photosynthetic, so this may be the type of coral that I might have to feed. But we'll give it a day, see if it opens up, and we'll see from there if it's something that needs to be fed, or maybe I'm lucky and it's just a, you know, regular type of leather that, you know, takes light, which would be awesome, because black absorbs almost every color, right? So realistically, if it's photosynthetic, it should be pretty easy to keep. And last but not least, I did go ahead and raid the kind of $10 death section at my local fish store. So they have this little area where, you know, there's a couple corals not doing too well, and I figured, you know, we go ahead and just purchase them. They were only $10, and some of them look pretty decent. I'll probably have better luck with them than the Acanthophilia, if you haven't seen that episode that I tried to save, but ultimately it died. But a lot of these guys look actually pretty good. So I ended up getting 3 button scolies. This is one right here. He's just a little bleached, and he's missing a little bit of meat, but not too much. I don't think it's too bad. I think this one will be savable. We're not going to keep him up here on the shelf. I just wanted to kind of show you guys. I want to put it lower in the tank, maybe right in front of the bubble coral, just so it has lower light so it can kind of acclimate. We do also have this Lobo right here. Like you can see, not too bad. Obviously, it is a little bleached or stressed, but that is okay. One weird thing is, do you see that hole right in the middle? It goes all the way through. I wonder what that's from. Like, was there a bug or like a pest of some kind that was living in there? Because, yeah, it goes straight through the coral, and it's pretty round, so I don't know what that was. If you know what that could have been, post that in the comments. I'd like to see what that is. I'm pretty curious, actually. I've never seen a Lobo with just a hole in it before. And lastly would be the other 2. This one is pretty good as well. Has most of its meat. It just has the core that is bleached. So I think a good feeding for a couple months would do good. And then we do also have this guy right here, who's a nice, colorful one as well. This one is more bleached, but it still has a lot of its meat. So same thing, hopefully, you know, feeding it every once in a while, it'll perk back up. And this one's on kind of a weird frag plate too. It has a weird texture to it. Like it's not a sand or anything, like it's ceramic. It has a design. Not sure what that is, but looks cool. But like I said, we'll go ahead and place these guys down here so they can light acclimate, you know, take their time, hopefully get better. We're going to go ahead and take a few photos of the before and hopefully an after. But that is pretty much it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. We have a lot of fun coming along the way. So obviously we have all those frags. We have a bunch of new coral. I don't even know what that is. And hopefully we're able to save those ones. So, you know, it's more fun content for the channel. But thank you guys, as always, for watching. It's pretty late. Lights starting to turn off. But, yeah, I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.